Hello and welcome to the Kubernetes course by study9.com. In this course, we are going to discuss about Kubernetes, which is an orchestration platform for containers. It is useful for people who are wanting to have their career in the new age technologies such as DevOps. It's a tool that was created by engineers at Google, and then Google submitted it back to open source community, where it is being currently maintained by various people in the open source community, but predominantly by Red Hat for their atomic platform, which is forming the basis of Red Hat OpenShift PaaS. A single Docker server, if you have a Linux virtual machine, let's say, and you have Docker containers running on it, that can be managed by Docker itself. But when you start having multiple such VMs with Docker containers running on them, you need something that can manage them centrally. And that's where Kubernetes comes in as a cluster management tool, which you can control through GUI, CLI, or simply by running code. Some of you may not know what Docker is. So, Docker is basically an automation technology which creates containers on Linux and Windows. Windows earlier was not supported so much, but now Windows has come with native Docker capability. So, yes, now Windows also supports Docker. It leverages operating system's own containerization technology, such as for Linux, it would be using the underlying containerization technology in Linux of LXC, and on Windows, it will similarly use the Windows containerization capability. And while the containers are themselves created by the underlying containerization mechanism, Docker provides some associated services, some isolation services, some imaging services, and some portability capabilities, so that you can take out a piece of a Docker container and move it into another system. These are capabilities which native containerization mechanism did not have, while containerization has been around in the market for quite a long time. The below picture shows you how the relationship is between a standard Linux operating system and the containers and the Dockers and the Kubernetes. As you can see, the Linux as a whole is one operating system. Containerization divides it into multiple operating systems, not by creating virtual machines on top of it, but by just dividing the underlying operating system. Docker enhances this isolation. It makes those independent pieces more isolated than what is possible with the standard containerization. And when you have such servers which have various pieces by created by Docker, and you want to control all those pieces together through a one single central orchestrator, that's where you implement a Kubernetes, which has two parts. One is the Kubernetes master, that is the central component, and then there are minion agents which are running on each of those machines where Docker has created various containers. Kubernetes and Docker are both very, very popular in the DevOps world for the simple capability of rapid provisioning and deprovisioning. If you're provisioning a virtual machine, it might take you somewhere around 5 minutes time to just boot it up, or 2 minutes time minimum. But for a container, this time becomes just about less than a second. It's also important to understand that when you are booting up, that is the benefit you get. But when you're creating a new VM, the benefit becomes much bigger. For a new virtual machine, the time taken to create a new virtual machine is much larger compared to Docker, which is still at under this 1 second, just under 1 second. You just run a command, and before you can realize, the container is already created. That's where Docker shines. And that's where Kubernetes is needed to manage Docker at a larger scale. Kubernetes is considered to be an orchestrator, but it has mainly two use cases. One is CAS, another is PaaS. CAS is container as a service, PaaS is platform as a service. In case of container as a service, we do provisioning of containers directly on top of various systems And these containers can then run anything. They can be simple operating system images, and they can run any software, anything that you throw on top of them for any purpose. Whereas PaaS, on the other hand, is going to provision pre-built images that are specifically built to provide services such as a database service or a middleware service like a Apache image or a MySQL database or a Tomcat image. This kind of services directly will be provisioned so that our application can start utilizing it. Typically, in case of container as a service, you launch a container just like you would launch a VM in a traditional virtualization environment, and then on top of it, you build up your services. In case of PaaS, it is pre-built services that get provisioned. Typically, you push a code into the PaaS. PaaS understands what this code is. Let's say you pushed a code of PHP. PaaS understands that this is a PHP code. Accordingly, it creates an Apache server and starts running an application. So the thing that you provide to a PaaS is just a source code of application. Then PaaS creates the container, creates the service, launches the application, runs it, and gives you the whole running application. A larger level of automation. Container as a service is much more bare minimum. It is just for creating containers on demand on various systems. Like AWS EC2 is a cloud solution that allows you to create on demand virtual machines. That's what you can implement Kubernetes CaaS as. Typical examples of a CaaS solution are custom built solution that many people do on top of Kubernetes, or there are a few COT solutions like SUSE Container as a Service Platform, which is again built on top of Kubernetes. In case of PaaS, you can consider it to be something similar as AWS RDS kind of solution, where on demand you can provision a relational database service. Not a VM, but a database directly. That's what PaaS provides you. Examples of a PaaS would be OpenShift, which is from Red Hat, and Apprenda. And there are obviously many other examples for both the use cases. So what we will be covering in this Study 9 course, we will start with the basics. We will start with Linux containerization. We will start understanding how Linux works and how containerization works. Some of the people who might not know Linux, we will start with some basics of Linux and then move into containerization in general. Once we've understood the containerization, we will dive into Docker, because Docker is something that is mostly used with Kubernetes. Docker is the primary container technology that is used in Kubernetes. Although Kubernetes can support other containerization mechanisms such as Rocket and Mesos as well. But Docker being the most popular one, we will learn Docker as well. After we have learned Docker and understood the use cases of Docker and why this containerization is becoming so much of a phenomenon nowadays, we will get into actually learning Kubernetes, where we will first of all implement the Kubernetes. We'll have a 4-server cluster created where one master server will be there and 3 minion servers will be controlled through the master server. These minion servers are the ones on which our containers are going to come upon. Once we've got our cluster up and running, we will provision images, we will provision a application image onto the Kubernetes to see how the lifecycle management happens. Image lifecycle management happens, and also application lifecycle management happens. We will see what are the various commands through which you can control the Kubernetes cluster. We will see various scenarios such as what happens when one particular minion goes down, how the containers running on that particular minion comes up on a different minion server. How do you do container high availability? Those are the scenarios we will start learning. Then Kubernetes is not only about commands. You can write a code and control Kubernetes. So there are YAML codes which you have to write and which you can then run on top of Kubernetes to control the Kubernetes cluster. We will see how to write those codes. We will see 3-4 examples of creating various types of containers and group of containers on top of Kubernetes. It has its own architecture. There is something called pod, there is something called replica set, and then there is something called deployment. We will see how to do those specific management by writing various types of code. Apart from these things around Kubernetes, we'll also learn some associated concepts, like we will get into what is called microservices, because it is an upcoming technology, mostly in the application development space, that is being built on top of Kubernetes. As a person who is going to learn Kubernetes and going to build solutions on top of Kubernetes, you need to know the biggest use case of microservices that runs on top of Kubernetes kind of container orchestration platforms. Because of microservices, a lot of companies are going for container as a service solutions, and because they're going for container as a service solution, the primary choice is Kubernetes. So it's important that you understand what microservices are. We will also understand OpenShift. We will do a small implementation of OpenShift, which is a Red Hat platform built on top of Kubernetes. We will see how does that work and how does it differ from Kubernetes, and why people are calling it as a PaaS but Kubernetes as a CaaS. As a project, we will do those ALM projects on Kubernetes where we will do a whole application lifecycle management of application by deploying it on top of Kubernetes. We will implement the GUI of Kubernetes. We will see how to manage it using GUI. We will learn all the commands of Kubernetes. We will learn all the codings of Kubernetes. So that overall will suffice the Kubernetes understanding. And by this time, you would have also got a wider understanding of the Kubernetes ecosystem by virtue of understanding microservices and OpenShift. So as you can see, this is a quite a 360-degree coverage that gives you good enough knowledge on Kubernetes to go and prove yourself in any job interview. With that, I'll finish off this particular presentation, and obviously we will have various other topics to cover and various things we will learn over this course. But for that, you have to register into this course, and you can do that by visiting our website studynet.com and by searching for Kubernetes, or you can just call our number 888-4830-222 and talk to our course counselor. If you're calling from outside of India, you need to add +91 before that, as it's a number in India. So our number is +91 888 Thank you for joining. See you in the class.